about, I guess, what you just said about like, because comedy is an art form, and comedy is very subjective, right? It's hard to really like. I
Right.
think comedy is the hardest, probably the hardest thing. Even like comedic movies, those are the hardest to do because if you don't make someone laugh, it's like it kind of defeats the purpose of what you're trying to do, right? So
No,
when you ever
I know.
whenever you get on stage and stuff, like, do you ever like worry about, I guess, like hecklers or people who are gonna say stuff, and like, I guess, how do you deal with that criticism on stage?
So the way I perform is my shows. I almost set them up virtually heckle proof.
Okay.
That's how I'm ready to go because I don't swear on stage. I don't talk about anything politics wise. I try not to offend anybody. I make fun of people, but I'll make fun of myself 10 times before I make fun of somebody
Yeah.
once, right?
Yeah.
Like if I make a small jab at another nationality, like I'll make that jab, but then I'm like, yeah, but look at how foolish we are. Like you just I flip it quick, right?
Yeah.
Um, I would say that I am lucky enough that only once in my entire career of performing that I wasn't heckled, but somebody made a comment that threw me off and I was lost the entire show. I was on tour with Joe Vadi a few years ago, and which was itself the biggest honor in the
Yeah.
world, right? Because Joe Vadi is Joe Vadi. There's no denying who he is. And so when he asked me to come on tour, I took it very serious. I was nervous because here's me who's been headlining like on my own right and seeing comedy shows, and now my idol comes along and says, "You're going to open up for me, and you have 15 minutes. That's all you're getting," because obviously there's a time structure.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I had to write an act for 15 minutes, like come up with an act. Which, by the way, the day that he gave me the guidelines of what I was allowed to say, not allowed to say, because there are some rules, right?
Yeah.
That like that night I came up with the whole 15 minutes in like one shot, one practice. I don't know where it came to me. It just came to me. And it's some of my best material. But I performed it. We did 11 shows. We did 4 shows in Montreal. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, night after night. The Sunday was the night that all my friends were going to be there. Like all my Montreal friends. And I have a big love for Montreal and I have a lot of great friends there. And so if you know that I put a lot of sparkles on me when I perform, it's not just my hair. Like I'm dazzled up. I'm like I come out and like, what? Who's this guy? So I over sparkled. I just came out with so much confidence. I came out with so much confidence that someone had enough confidence to say back something. And it was basically, she said so innocently and so sweetly, she said, "Hey, you look like a Christmas tree." And that's funny because I looked like a Christmas tree, but she had said it right when I was delivering my first line of my first joke. And that line is like the line that just basically takes the piss out of me because of the way I look. And so I was making fun of myself with that line, but she said something so funny that people were laughing at her line and didn't hear what I had said.
Oh.
And so
Yeah.
I just got in my head that they weren't laughing at me. Sorry, they weren't laughing with me. They were laughing at me because of what this lady said.
Yeah.
And then, do you know how long that 15 minutes was? Like a month.
Oh
I couldn't. And then I said the next line and the next line, and I wasn't delivering it the way I deliver it. And it was like, it took me, so 15 minutes, it literally took me 8 minutes to recover. They were getting it, they were laughing, but they weren't exploding and laughing because
That's
you could
crazy.
see it. And I recovered at the end, but when I got off that stage, man, there was always like a high five from Joe. And hey, you did amazing. But
Yeah.
that time when I got off the stage, he looked
He
at
could
me like
tell.
he could tell that I was
He knew.
destroyed. Like he
Yeah, because he
wasn't
probably
like, hey,
saw
you
you.
did. Yeah, he wasn't like, hey, you did. He didn't flat out say, hey, you did
He could tell
poorly.
the
But
difference between like your normal
oh yeah,
performance and that one,
I
100%.
I
Yeah.
I literally cried the entire time that he was on stage. I was like back
Oh,
in the
man.
corner in my dressing room, like crawled into a ball, just crying. And they
So
had people to console me.
if
And I was like, and I never want to do this again. That's all I had in my head.
damn.
And then I had a big talk with him. Sorry, just I had a big talk with him the next day, and he's like, "Hey, it happens. You think every performance I've ever done came out the way it was, the way I wanted it to be? There are times when I just did the same routine because I had just done that same routine 10 times earlier, and
Yeah.
and I killed. And
Yeah.
that time I was like, is this mic on? Like nothing's working." And that was actually the greatest moment in my career because it prepared me for those moments when someone can throw you off. Now, when I hit the stage, I'm like, somebody call me a Christmas tree. Somebody give me
Yeah.
something.
That was actually my
Yeah.
question. I was gonna say, if that exact situation happened again, what would you do now? You know?
It's like Joe gave me a line. He said, if somebody calls you a Christmas tree, you just point, hey, Bon Natale. You just like right away, just be ready with it.
Yeah.
And now no one ever called me a Christmas tree from that point, but it was just like, and I felt that even on this weekend that I did a show in London, I was the loosest I'd ever been. And it was very like somebody throws something at me. Sometimes what people don't get when they're watching comedy is they got to actually be quiet and just laugh. Some
Yeah.
people like to, because they think they know where the joke is going, they like to throw out the punchline and the whole room is quiet and you're like, ah,